At last year's Game Awards, Pikmin fans spent the entirety of the event hoping for a tiny bit of Pikmin content, and all we ended up with was a part of a teaser trailer we had already seen before and a change of font.
I think I want to nominate this award to
Old Mode.
Now, at this year's Game Awards, Pikmin 4 is not only out, but up for 2 awards. Pikmin 4 has been nominated for both Best Family and Best Sim/Strategy. And that's not the only exciting Pikmin news right now. Pikmin 4's Japanese website just had a major update that changed it from daytime to nighttime. Or at least it had changed from daytime to nighttime when I looked yesterday, but right now it's back to where it was, so I guess you gotta take my word for it, but also I have no idea what the changing of day to night on the website means. Either way, it's still being updated, I suppose. In addition, we've been getting new screenshots on the site and new comics. There's a question. Is Pikmin 4 DLC incoming? My name is Vantage Emblem, and today we're going to be covering all of this and just having a chat about what's been going on with Pikmin. So without further ado, let's get into this. There is really a non-zero chance that we'll be getting DLC. I mean, Pikmin 3 got DLC, and that game was 10 years ago, but it got DLC on the Wii U, and there's precedent, therefore, that Pikmin 4 could get DLC on Switch. I mean, currently the game is being rebundled with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is a very successful game, very good game. Pikmin 4 is a very good game. I think Nintendo wants to capitalize on these last major titles before the reveal of their next console. Some of the screenshots that have appeared on the Pikmin 4 website also seem to be things that aren't currently possible in-game. For example, this screenshot with Ochi that's been discussed recently that has 2 leaders riding on Ochi. One of them's the castaway. Ochi weirdly matches the color of this castaway, not the color of the main character. Very interesting things. Maybe it's just set up in dev screenshot mode just for the sake of the website, but maybe it's tied to DLC, and maybe there's 2-player co-op in the DLC, for example. I have to bring this up because I think it's funny, but my grandfather really wanted me to talk on this channel about how the Pebble Pitcher is hated, apparently, in the wider Pikmin community because it's just a terrible second-player mode. Compared to Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which had phenomenal full campaign co-op, really well done full campaign co-op, Pikmin 4 drops the ball in terms of 2-player content, with the exception of Dandori battles, which are easily the most accessible multiplayer battle mode in the whole series, given they can be played single-player. But that got me thinking, they can be played single-player because they're accessible in the areas. Actually, so much is accessible directly in the areas. Unlike Pikmin 3, which its DLC just added a couple extra mission mode maps outside of the main story, Pikmin 4's mission mode equivalent and Bingo Battle equivalent, the Dandori challenges and Dandori battles, are directly found in the main campaign. Same is true of the caves in Pikmin 4. Here's the thing, if there was DLC adding new Dandori challenges or Dandori battles or caves or whatever, it's probably likely that it would come with an extra area. This is the first time I could ever make that argument in a Pikmin game with DLC. And here we are. It just makes sense, right? They could tack on an extra area, it could continue the plot, it could be a side story, it doesn't matter. They could remix existing areas. There's a lot they could do with DLC. Regardless, if they add Dandori challenges or Dandori battle maps in DLC, I do think it's very, very likely that they will exist in some place on an overworld area. Whether it already is an existing area, whether it's a new one they add. The thing is, I don't necessarily know if they're going to go out of the way to do extra Dandori challenges, extra Dandori battle maps, or an extra area. Unlike Pikmin 3, those have to be tied into the main story, or at least so far in Pikmin 4 have been tied into the main story. So maybe that's not the route they go. Maybe they give us difficulty modes. It's been done with Zelda DLC before, why wouldn't it be possible with Pikmin DLC? In fact, difficulty modes as DLC could be so good for Pikmin 4 as a game. For example, you could have harder enemies, you could potentially nerf Ochi if you wanted to, you could up the complexity. I know it's hard-coded in the game right now that you could only have 3 types out at once, but maybe on a harder difficulty, you could bring out more types. Why would that matter? Well, who says that on higher difficulties, the layout of the area has to be the same? Imagine going to the Sun-Speckled Terrace and having sections of that area physically blocked off until you got later Pikmin types on a harder mode. For example, there's a poison gate somewhere, right? Or there's more electricity and you don't necessarily get yellow Pikmin early. You could remix the entirety of the campaign if you wanted to. Granted, that's really high effort for DLC, especially given just how big Pikmin 4 is, but it's possible. If nothing else though, you could at least up enemy stats and make the game a lot harder on a higher difficulty. Granted, I'd be a little bitter if higher difficulty was locked behind a paywall, but also I'd gladly play it. And I'd gladly pay for it, and I think a lot of people would as well. Still, we've got to acknowledge, DLC for Pikmin 4 is a lot more complex than Pikmin 3, because, again, it's about adding something that meshes with the game's structure, rather than just a couple extra floating mission modes accessible out of the menu. So let's assume this DLC is real. When would we see it announced? Maybe at the Game Awards? And this is not unprecedented, by the way. Fire Emblem Engage got its DLC announced at the Game Awards last year. So, could Pikmin have the same experience this year? Or maybe not. Maybe it's as early as a February Direct. Or perhaps it's shadow dropped somewhere else, maybe in between these two dates. I'm assuming it'd be rather soon, if there's actually going to be DLC, because it's pretty clear that there's probably a new console in the pipeline based on all sorts of leaks and rumors, and even actions taken by Nintendo, for example, the amount of remakes they've been doing recently. It's kinda common sense at this point that, well, given the Switch has been around for years and is extremely successful and popular, a properly done, properly branded, properly powerful, properly timed follow-up console would be an excellent move to capitalize on this overall Nintendo momentum. While I would assume that, if there were to be Pikmin DLC, this sort of announcement would be best placed before the announcement of a new console, it could also be announced at the same time and still be successful. The console won't launch immediately, and the DLC can be announced at the same time and come out sooner, tiding people over during the excitement. Or, alternatively, it could even be tied to an enhanced re-release of the game that is exclusive to the new console, if Nintendo wanted to be a little awful about it. Still, it seems more likely than not that we're going to be seeing more Pikmin content and that we're going to see it sooner rather than later. The Pikmin series has grown so much recently, and Nintendo even recently revealed that Pikmin 4 is easily the best-selling entry in the Pikmin series already. Pikmin is now the most mainstream it's ever been, and it continues to grow. For us Pikmin fans, we can help it grow by voting for it at the Game Awards. It's probably not going to beat Mario Wonder for Best Family, but it does have a decent shot for winning the simulation/strategy category. I love Advance Wars 1 and 2, and the last mainline Fire Emblem did sweep the categories it was in when it was nominated in 2019, but Advance Wars 1 and 2 is a remake, and the last mainline Fire Emblem, well, that was Three Houses, which was universally loved, and the current game, Fire Emblem Engage, is so much more divisive. Contrast that to Pikmin 4, which is not only a very strong and loved entry in the series, but a game that has a little something for everyone, and it seems pretty likely that the game has a genuine shot at winning this category. But what do you think? Do you think we'll be seeing DLC soon? Are you going to vote for Pikmin at the Game Awards? Let me know in the comments below. As for me, I'll stop rambling and end things here. My name is Vantage Emblem, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers, everyone. Take care.